Welcome to 3D Experience World 2021. My name is Sharon Shapcott, and I'm here from LinkedIn. And today I'm going to be talking about LinkedIn for students and how to build your network and advance your career. I've been working in software as a service for the last 20 years, specifically in sales and customer success. At LinkedIn, I work on the sales solution side of the business, and I've been helping sales professionals optimize their LinkedIn profile, helping them find the right people and companies that they care about, understanding what those people and companies care about, and how they can engage with them in a very meaningful way. I also uh, I also volunteer my time to help students build a presence on LinkedIn to connect to opportunity. And really excited to be here today to talk through how to build out your network and advance your career. So today's agenda, what we'll be going through in this session, we're going to kick it off and talking about establishing your brand and what is a good brand, tips to build out your LinkedIn profile, how to build your professional network, using your network to find and connect to opportunity, and then tips for searching and applying for jobs and additional resources that you have access to even after this session that you can utilize. And then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. So before we jump in, I would like to level set on what we do and what other social media platforms do. So take the example of a donut. And if we were to express how much we love donuts, we would do that very differently than we would do on LinkedIn. Perhaps on Facebook, we would tell our community that we like donuts. Perhaps on Instagram, we would take, some cool photos of the donut we're about to eat. Or maybe we're listening to a song called Donuts on Spotify. All of those different tasks and the way we communicate about the donut is quite different than how we would communicate about donuts on LinkedIn. We really need to take that professional mindset. So let's take that donut example and see how that would apply to LinkedIn. So if we were to do that, we would say perhaps maybe we're hoping to operate a donut franchise one day. Or maybe we're looking for a job in the donut industry. Or maybe you've already worked in the industry and you have 3 years experience making donuts. Or perhaps your top skills are donut production and sales. And here are three recommendations from former donut colleagues. That's the professional mindset, and that's what LinkedIn's platform is there for, is to build your professional brand and to search and look for jobs and to post and share content. So when we think about LinkedIn and how imperative it is to build your professional network and to connect to opportunity, think about these numbers. We have over 50 million employers on LinkedIn with millions of open job opportunities. We have more than 700 million professionals, members on the platform in over 200 countries globally, and we're signing up a new member every 2 seconds. We also have 2.9 million groups on LinkedIn to help you grow your community and connect to that opportunity. But the first thing that we need to do is to really define what that professional brand is for you. What makes a good brand, identifying your brand, and then showing that you're the right choice. So when we think about what makes a good brand, really what a brand is, it's a company's promise to its customer. It tells customers what they can expect from the company's products and services and really how they differentiate from their competitor. If you think about Apple's brand and what their brand stands for, it stands for improvement, revolution. It's a lifestyle brand. And it's like how that product makes you feel when you consume it. Perhaps it makes you feel passionate, gives you hopes or dreams. It's very innovative, very much an established brand that you're invoked when you purchase or interact with those products or services. We can say the same for Nike versus Adidas. And even when you go through the process of choosing one shoe or the other, how do you decide which kind of shoe you like more? The branding around that is going to play a role into that and how that brand makes you feel when you consume the product or their services. Some of the things you might think about is, the shape of the shoe, the look of the shoe, the style, the cost, how it feels when you wear it. Is there a promise from the brand to make you run faster or to play basketball better if you wear this brand or the other? And how are they different? All of these brands are trying to invoke that in you and what the experience will be for you when you interact with that product or service. And the same thing goes for yourself. So, yes, you do have your own brand. Your brand is your promise to those around you. It tells people what they can expect from working with you and around you. It also shows how you're unique from other people, and you can shape your brand by the way you present yourself to others. And you can do that very easily on LinkedIn. But the first thing that we need to do is start to develop what that brand is. And the value of your brand is absolutely paramount because it's really asking yourself, why choose you? And think about it from the perspective of how maybe an employer goes about choosing someone, or even a coach for a team, or how a college decides to choose. What do you promise your employer, team, or school? Maybe you promise them to show up on time, to participate, to graduate, what they can expect from you, participation, to be there, to interact, to collaborate, many different things. How are you unique? How are you going to differentiate yourself across the pack? Well, a couple ways that you can start to think about doing that. You want to show that you're the right choice to employers and recruiters, and your brand is a great way to do that. And your brand includes who you are now, but also where you want to go. So if you think about the now, you can start to think about the skills you've acquired over time. So what you've learned in school, maybe any work experience you've had, and maybe there's specific skills that you can pull out of that you've learned in each job or class that you can highlight. The other area is your network. How you are to be around and to work with, as told by the people you know, and information, your areas of expertise and wisdom. Perhaps you're an expert in donut making. Perhaps you're an expert in computer science or in coding for that matter. Those are areas that you definitely want to highlight in your professional brand. But not just looking at who you are now, but where you want to go. And employers and recruiters definitely look at this. They want to know what you're thinking about for the future, what your values are, what's important to you, things that give you meaning in life. And that could be maybe you're very passionate about diversity, inclusion, belonging, or maybe you're passionate about animal rights or women's rights for that matter. Whatever that may be, this is a great opportunity to start thinking about those values and what's important. It shows responsibility, respect, and that you're caring and honest. And some of those goals that you also want to include are, where you want to go. What do you want to be doing in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Those are all really important things to start to craft and consider when you start to define your professional brand. And we can incorporate that narrative into your LinkedIn profile, which brings us to that next section. Your profile is absolutely valuable. And if you have not yet set up a profile, that's okay. You can get started today. So we're going to go through how to set up an account, what the difference between a profile and a resume is, because we get that asked a lot, especially from students. And then a few tips to really optimize your LinkedIn profile to set yourself out from the pack. So if you do not have a LinkedIn profile just yet, no, that's okay. You can navigate to linkedin.com on your desktop computer, or you can download the mobile app from the App Store or from Google Play. So do that first and log in and set up an account. Once you've done that, the first thing you could do is you're going to start to populate all the different sections of your LinkedIn profile. And what we get asked a lot is really what the difference is between a resume and your LinkedIn profile. And it really is a good question. But think about it from this perspective and understand the following differentiators to get the most out of it. One is depth. Your LinkedIn profile gives you room to elaborate. You can go deeper with volunteer experience to demonstrate your skills, experience, and personality. You can add project samples here, so such as images, documents, videos. This shows your work, but also shows your personality, and it makes your LinkedIn profile much more engaging. The second piece is your personality. Your profile allows hiring managers and recruiters to contact you and actively seek you out. So add your skills and experience, but more importantly, show them your unique path and personality. Your profile summary should truly set you apart. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. The third part is recommendations. Your resume rarely contains recommendations from peers, professors, or past coworkers, whereas your profile has a section dedicated to this information. Hiring managers use recommendations to actively measure the quality of an applicant. And we'll talk about how you can request recommendations in a moment. And then the fourth thing is the platform itself. LinkedIn is a living, breathing network where students and recent graduates, professionals, and employers can interact with and contact you. Your profile is a great way to share not only your experience, but also your personality and your interests. So, the first tip that I'm going to provide around your LinkedIn profile is to take a great photo. So, members who have a profile photo receive up to 21 times more views and 9 times more connection requests. So, the photo here is not for you to take what you have on Facebook and translate it over here. We don't want you to crop out a photo of you and your partner or you and your dog or your cat. So, take a nice photo of yourself. Use a background that isn't distracting. So, at least it's like grayed out or gradient. Dress professionally. Have a nice smile and demeanor. Don't wear sunglasses or a hat, and make sure that your face takes up the majority of the frame. Your smartphones take great photos these days, so you don't need like an expensive headshot here. But make sure you get a photo up there so people who know who you are. And then once you've done that, then you can come in and start to fill out all the different sections of your LinkedIn profile. Couple areas that I want to make sure that we go into detail in is around your location, making sure you put your location in of where you're located, because we will recommend jobs. LinkedIn will recommend jobs to you based on the location that you are and your work experience and skills. Put in the industry that you're currently working in, or an industry maybe you want to work in. Add your work and internship experience, any volunteer experience you may have. Definitely put in your education and any certifications that you've received, so like diplomas or degrees. Any additional skills that you've acquired from school, add those to your profile. Maybe you have leadership skills or computer skills, add all of those. And any other program or organization that you may be very passionate about, or that you follow or have a cause for, add that to your LinkedIn profile. It absolutely humanizes it and it shows the interest that you have. The next section is about your headline. So that headline that I'm talking about is that caption that is right underneath your profile pic. It's an opportunity to show what you are, not just what you do. And if you can come up with something catchy that sets you apart, I would highly recommend changing this. It would default to your title. If you're currently working, that's what it would default to. But this is a great way to differentiate yourself. And when you're writing your headline, you can ask yourself these questions. If this is the only thing someone sees, what does it say about me? Does this represent my professional brand and show why I'm unique? Does it capture what a recruiter would care about? This is an awesome opportunity to really create something creative and catchy here, and to go against the grain and do something a little bit different. The other area here is your summary, and this is where we can bring in your professional brand. This is the best place to communicate what your brand is and put your own spin on your experience here. And this section is right underneath your profile pic. It's kind of like that about section, which is your summary. Couple things to note here is if we have got a great formula that we recommend following. 1 to 2 sentences about who you are, maybe 3 to 5 about your experience, your top skills and key passions, and then round that all out with maybe 1 to 2 sentences about your future goals and how members can engage with you. So a nice call to action. You could put in your email address or a direct phone number if you wish. I would always write this in the first person. That humanizes it, and make sure to include a summary of at least 40 words to show up in search results for other members. If you're struggling to write a summary, you could always ask a peer, how you're different than others, what makes you unique, or even ask a mentor. And, use your peers to take a look at what you wrote and provide some feedback. But this is a great way and a great section to really amplify what your professional brand is. Now that we've talked about a few tips for your LinkedIn profile, now it's time to start to build out your professional network. In this section, we're going to talk about just that, your professional network, discovering an existing connection, search for new ones, and how you can expand your network very strategically. Now, did you know that 50% of hires result from a personal connection? So this is a great time to start to build out your network. The power of your network is absolutely paramount, and everyone has a network. Though you may not realize it, network occurs every time you meet new friends or acquaintances, volunteer in your community, or through any other social activity. Networking is a key factor in career advancement. As I just mentioned, over 50% of workers currently employed found their jobs through a personal connection. Your network consists of strong connections, the people you know well and interact with often, as well as weaker connections, acquaintances or people you may not know personally, but have a shared background, interest, or mutual connection in common with. So on LinkedIn, your first degree connections are people already in your network and people you already know. The second degree connections are people you share a connection with, while third degree connections are connected to your second degree connections. Research shows that your weak connections, those originally in your second and third degree networks, are often more valuable for your job search than strong existing connections because their networks are more diverse than your own. For example, my neighbor's sister works at Amazon. I've only met her once, but if I wanted to work at Amazon, she can help me find jobs there and connect me with the people in my field. Each time you connect with someone new, their own extended network becomes more accessible to you. On LinkedIn, you can definitely customize your connection request, and I would always recommend to do that. And to do this is really to explain why you're interested in adding a second or third degree connection to your network. Whether it's to learn more about the career journey through an informational interview or to request a referral for a job you're interested in. Most LinkedIn members often or always respond to a request for a referral, and more than 60% of the workforce has referred someone to work at their company. While it can feel uncomfortable or nerve wracking to connect with someone new for this purpose, it really is a professional norm that just might lead you to your next opportunity. So start to flex this muscle. When you're discovering existing connections on the global navigation bar on LinkedIn, you can click into My Network. When you click into My Network, we are going to recommend friends and family that you might know, current and former colleagues, and current and former managers. So always check out the people you may know feature, and this improves over time as you build out your network. The algorithm gets smarter. And how you can search for new connections, there's additional filters that you can use in the search bar. You can search by name, you can search for a specific company, you can search for people in a specific location, or even by keywords. So, for example, if you wanted to start connecting with people at a specific company that you wanted to work at, you can use that company search data point as to search for people at that company. And after you click connect on a new person that you want to connect with, and you'll see that you have the ability to send that invitation, there's a button there that says add a note. This is where you would add that personalization to let them know why you're reaching out and why you want to connect with them. We always recommend that personalized message. I get lots of connection requests with no notes, and it's really hard for me to understand why they want to connect with me. So always recommend to put that personal note in there. And when you think about expanding your network strategically, start to think about these things. Who should I reach out to on LinkedIn? Okay. Well, people you have something in common with, maybe people that you are gone to school with that were in the same course, connect with them. People who have a job or work at a company that interests you. So again, going back to what I was saying, how you can search for people that are a certain company, start to network and connect with people at a company you are interested in. People who may be able to connect you to someone who can help you achieve your goals. Maybe there's a mentor or a professional that you may want to connect with that can help guide you and give you some feedback on where to go next. And if you're struggling with what to say to these folks when you do reach out, keep it simple. Tell them who you are, how you came across their profile, and how they can help you. Using your LinkedIn network to connect to opportunity. In this next section, we're going to talk about messaging connections, asking for those informational interviews to do deep dives, request referrals for jobs, requesting recommendations to build out that recommendation section on your LinkedIn profile, and then where you can add value and engage. So, did you know that LinkedIn members are 4 times more likely to get hired when they're referred? Absolutely. So there's definitely an advantage of using your network to connect to opportunity and asking for those informational interviews as you start to build out your network. I'm going to play a little bit of a video that's a bit of a story that I thought would be very interesting to hear Lauren's story.
The day I graduated, I moved to New York. I had zero connections, and as positive as I was trying to be, nothing was happening. So I went on LinkedIn. I connected with someone who introduced me to my boss. That's how I got to the trading floor. When I first got the job, I was the only female on the floor. I get to represent so many girls. I'm in it to change the game.
We love Lauren's story because Lauren, used her network, even though she didn't have a lot of connections, she knew where she wanted to work and started to connect with those folks to get her foot in the door and to connect to those opportunities. So again, talking about asking for those informational interviews is really going to be key. And the purpose of that informational interview is to gain advice on your career path. You can learn more about that industry that you're interested in and also learn about a specific company that you're working for. And this actually helps you establish a professional bond. And in some cases, after these informational interviews, professionals may also consider you for future job openings that they learn of. So definitely get in there and start to connect and network with folks that will give you some information about your career path and about that industry that you're interested in. The other area is requesting referrals. So asking for a job referral by reaching out to connections at companies you tend to apply. So one, you may already be connected to some folks that work at a company where they have open job opportunities. Use your network to ask for a job referral there. Or if you see a company you're really interested in and there's a lot of job openings, start to look at who works there and start to network and reach out to request a referral. And make sure to include why you're interested in the specific role, your appreciation for the connections consideration. And again, more than 60% of that workforce has referred someone to work at their company. So there's definitely an advantage to network and ask for those referrals. The other area that we want to talk about is requesting those recommendations. So, at the beginning, we were talking about the difference between a resume and a LinkedIn profile. This is where your LinkedIn profile can host those recommendations. And this is where recruiters and employers will go and read those recommendations to determine the quality of the applicant. So, recommendations are basically like references from people in your network. So, when you're connected to these folks, they could be professors, past managers, past people that you worked with. You can select your relationship to this person and indicate whether you work with them in a particular role and customize the message. But when you ask them to recommend you, think about your former managers, colleagues, even those colleagues that may have not worked with you directly, but maybe they worked really closely with you. Other people that you could think about are people who have mentored you or advised you professionally, including nonprofit training or programs, or maybe even a coach that you had on a sports team. The one tip I would give around recommendations when you're asking for a recommendation, highlight some of the skills or projects that you want that person to highlight in that written recommendation. And if you ghostwrite the recommendation for them, it's going to make it a lot easier for them to just apply their authentic voice and just make a couple tweaks to that recommendation. Now, when we add value and engage with your network, a couple of things that we just want to make sure that you continue to do as you embark on this journey. Invest time in your connections and request those informational interviews. This is the time to really dig in to determine, what industry you want to work in, what company you want to work in, and people are more than willing to meet with you to provide that information. Start to like and share things that people in your network care about and what they post about, especially folks that are at a company that you want to work for. Start to follow them on LinkedIn and like and share some of the things that they're putting, the content that they're putting out there on LinkedIn. Join groups and exchange insights with your school or program alumni. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. And give testimonials and recommendations to others. So if you're going out and requesting recommendations, reciprocate back as well. So now you've got your LinkedIn profile, you've started to build out your network, you've reached out to request for job referrals, recommendations, and informational interviews. Now you want to start searching for jobs or internships or at schools. So one thing that we're going to talk about here is show recruiters that you're open to work, how you can search for career opportunities, create search alerts, review jobs you may be interested in, and follow companies and explore schools and alumni. But did you know that 34 million job seekers visit LinkedIn Jobs every week? That's a lot. So we've got a lot of employers and recruiters that are on the platform with a lot of over millions of open job opportunities. So definitely there's a lot of opportunity and LinkedIn can connect you to that opportunity. But the best way to show recruiters that you're open to work is using the hashtag open to work. Employers and recruiters can search by that hashtag. So by all means, utilize it. And when you go into the job section of the LinkedIn profile, you can add job titles that you're interested in, the types of jobs, locations as well. Indicate whether you're available immediately or if you're casually browsing. You can also choose whether you want to share you're open with all LinkedIn members or only recruiters. So you have the ability to change some of those on your privacy settings. Now, when you're in the job section on LinkedIn, this is where you can start to search for those career opportunities. And there's different ways that you can filter the database to find those jobs and internships. You can search by keyword, you can do it by job title, by the company, by location, even by function or experience level, or the date the job was posted. But what I would highly recommend is that you create some search alerts. Creating a search alert is going to push those job openings directly into your inbox. So if you set up the search alert, then all the hard work is done for you, and you'll get those push notifications when there's an open job in the location you want, at the company you want, with the job title you want, with experience level, or even the date posted. That allows you to get that information directly into your inbox as soon as those jobs are posted. The other section that you should regularly check is jobs you may be interested in. So this is we're going to LinkedIn recommends jobs to you based on the work experience that's on your LinkedIn profile, the skills, and your location information. So always pop into jobs you may be interested in. The algorithm will get smarter, but the caveat here is your LinkedIn profile needs to be filled out properly and accurately, and make sure you include details around that work experience, skills, and location for the algorithm to know the best jobs to recommend to you. The other thing that I would recommend doing as well as setting up those search alerts is start to follow companies or employers that you're interested in working for. You can simply search for a company on LinkedIn, like you can see Starbucks here. You can hit the follow button. And then anytime they're posting anything on their company page, you're notified of that. But the other section that you should definitely check out on all company pages is the Life tab. The Life section is there for you to learn about the company culture, their values. You want to make sure their values align with yours, and professional development opportunities. Especially as you're starting off your career, you definitely want an opportunity to build professional development, and you want to work for a company that aligns with values and culture. So definitely check out that Life tab. The other thing to consider too is to explore schools. Find and view latest news from schools you've attended or are interested in attending. Let's say you want to do a postgrad program, you can actually search for schools on LinkedIn to get some information about some additional, if you want to attend a school for a postgrad information or just additional information about that school. But if you just recently graduated, the alumni group is a great place to dig into because you can explore the career paths that were taken by your program alumni. So you can see where your alumni live, where they work, what they do, and what they study. And these are great resources to reach out to tap into for informational interviews. So I'd highly recommend joining your alumni group and taking a look at who is part of that alumni and tapping into that to discuss your career interests for those informational interviews. So we talked about your professional brand, your LinkedIn profile, how to build out your network, how to search for career opportunities and set up search alerts, how to request recommendations and referrals in those informational interviews. Now, for a little bit of extra credit, and these are some resources that is a leave behind for you, we have some in-demand skills on LinkedIn Learning. So if you visit opportunity.linkedin.com, you can start developing some of these skills for free. This is absolutely free. We at LinkedIn have identified 10 jobs that have the greatest number of job openings, steady growth over the last 4 years, pay a livable wage, and require skills that may be learned online. We also have included here learning paths that teach skills for in-demand jobs, including project manager, digital marketer, sales rep, and more. Other things that you can glean from this site, opportunity.linkedin.com, we also made available or unlocked some learning paths for relevant professional soft skills. So critical soft skills, so there's some great learning paths around that. Also, the latest virtual collaboration tools. So we're all working virtually these days. Interviews are probably done more virtually these days. So making sure that you're up to speed on all the different collaboration tools that are out there is going to set yourself apart as well. And the last piece that I would recommend you checking out is once you get secured and you get a job opportunity, you're going to have to go in for an interview. So here we have some great resources that will help you prepare for those interviews. We unlocked additional learning paths here around interview prep. So some video interview tips, how you can digital body language on video. Also interview practice for the top 26 behavioral interview questions as well. So again, navigate to opportunity.linkedin.com and you can have access to all these free resources at your fingertips. And then the last but not least, you can join groups. There's like 2.9 million different groups on LinkedIn. So you can search for different groups that are within your profession, whether that's, computer software, engineering, professional relations, communications. You can search for those groups and ask to join, and you can interact with the people in those groups. And the other one that I mentioned was the alumni of your school as well. So that brings us to the conclusion of LinkedIn for Students. Thank you so much for your time today and looking forward to the Q&A.